Dewdrop, let me cleanse in your brief, sweet waters these dark hands of life. Basho. What's going on, everybody? I guess we made it to see another day after the election. It's I guess we still have not received any answers. So yeah, man. What's going on? It's a good day to be alive, huh?
Yeah, I keep waking up every couple hours, checking it, even in the middle of the night, to see if any updates have come.
You did?
Oh, I still am. And it's weird because I'm seeing a couple. I keep seeing two different reports that like Joe Biden has 264 electoral votes, and then I see another one where he only has like 252, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's also confusing me still. So I think it'll be some time until we figure it out, unless something big comes out. Obviously, like if something bad happened, regardless who it was, for Trump or for Biden, I think unless something big like that comes out, it's going to take a long time.
Well, you know what's really interesting for me? The fact that we always thought that, or at least people made it seem that this was literally going to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
That the election was going to take place, and then from one day to another, we were going to start having riots. We were going to be living in a post-apocalyptic world. And surprise, surprise, we're still here. Life continues as normal. I went to work today, and we're still doing this podcast.
Well, I mean, there has been some terrible things that most people actually haven't even really been hearing about.
Like what?
Like in Washington, D.C., there was like 10 stabbings the night of the election that were directly involved with like, how do I say it? With political conflict, essentially. It wasn't just like 10 robberies that they kind of are like, oh, here, there are 10 robberies. Do as you wish. Like it was politically motivated.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of violence going on that's not being reported about right now, coming from both sides.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't been up to date with the news other than, I woke up today and as I suspected, I'm still alive. My city's not burned down to crisps. And like I said, life continues as normal, as usual.
Kind of.
For me. That's very, I guess that's just very self-centered, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point, though, is for now it's the same. Until, regardless which way you think about it, Joe Biden or Trump makes it worse. Or someone doesn't like whatever the decision is. And like we haven't had a war in the United States in forever. Like imagine Pearl Harbor. You're just hanging out and all of a sudden you got bombers above you. Like that's the whole point of all the elections and stuff like that, is to prevent the later on problems.
Yeah, I feel like people can only do so much. It doesn't matter if you're the leader of the free world. You can only do so much. And it's really hard to please everybody because everybody has different thoughts, different ideas, different morals, different everything. So imagine being that guy. So it doesn't matter if it's Biden or Trump. It sucks for them. Like in some ways, I think that's a sacrifice. You're always being condemned for one thing or the other, or your life is, ripped open for people to see.
Yeah.
So that must be tough.
They say like you ate, like how you look, you age when you're the president. Like they always do that before and after picture.
Yeah, I saw Obama's, and that was like, that added like 15 years to him.
Yeah, and I looked at Trump for the 4 years, and like he wasn't a good looking guy when he went in, and he's not a good looking guy now. But he wasn't far off from where he was when he started, and I thought that was very weird.
That's that speed he's on. Whatever they're giving him, dude. You know, to be able to do as many rallies as that guy was able to do in the last week, that was actually really impressive. I don't think I have ever seen that from other people.
Yeah, he was. I think they said that he had the most rallies out of any president who's ever
In just this election.
Yeah,
Damn.
I believe is what was said.
It's
I don't know if that was just like within the last month or something like that, but I thought from what I thought I read that it was all together campaigning for this election. He had the most out of any president ever.
I don't know if you noticed, but I kind of noticed that he lost some weight.
I know. I just noticed it because of one video, but I feel like that has to do with like cameras, because majority of the time when we see him, we usually see him in either like news press conferences or like at a rally or like when there's a big crowd. So usually the cameras are further back, zoomed in on the person, which makes him look bigger. But then when I saw him, he was in a much closer camera that was like right on him, and it just I think it made him look his normal size. Have you ever seen him in person?
No,
I haven't either. I did go to New York in high school, and I did see the Trump Tower. That's the only, not the only, like we did the whole East Coast 8th grade trip to go to like Gettysburg and like a lot of the historical monuments and stuff like that. And we got, I think it was like an hour to 2 hours. They dropped us off in New York, and they said, they kind of told us like, this is this way, that's that way, this is this way. You can get a map at any like liquor store around here. Just go pick one up if you want to find something. And so we went, and we're like, we got 2 hours. If we just sit here and look at a map, we're going to waste a bunch of time. Let's just start walking. So we went, and we didn't get to see anything. Like we went and we walked by Trump Tower, but we didn't walk by it. We were trying to get back to where we needed to be. And so we were running to get back to where we needed to be, and just so happened Trump Tower was right next to us. So that was kind of cool. But we went to like a Nike store and a Lego store. That's what we did in downtown New York. But
and that's funny that you say that, because so many people go travel to a city or whatever, or a country, and they go to the tourist spots.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did plenty of that. So like, I went up the Eiffel Tower, not the Eiffel Tower. What is it? The Empire.
Greg's been to Paris.
I went to the Empire State Building, and that, dude, I don't know if I've ever been scared of heights until going in that building. Like, there was a difference. Like going in an airplane was less scary than going into the Eiffel Tower. Why do I keep saying Eiffel Tower? Empire State Building.
I think Greg's trying to tell us he just recently went to Paris.
No. But the experience going in that, because you go in an elevator from the bottom to the top. And
how many floors is the Eiffel Tower?
See, it got you.
Well, now you got me, dude. So how many floors is the?
You'll have to look that up.
The Empire. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, and speaking of that, the reason I can't look it up, we're trying a new camera system out. That's why we got the IV cam up here. It's allowing us to use a different kind of camera to hopefully capture better quality. It looks like better quality so far.
By the way, IV cam, can hook us up.
Yeah, we appreciate your service.
Yeah, thank you for giving this free. It's a camera app, right?
Yeah,
so you can use your phone as a a streaming cam.
Yep, so that's what we're trying out. But getting in, so it took a long time because you can only have so many people on the top of the Empire State Building. Mm-hmm. So you have to wait until people come down, and then you can go up. So they split you up into different groups, the amount of people who can fit in an elevator, and you go and you get in the elevator, and at first you can feel the speed of it. Like it's a good speed.
Yeah, it's 102 stories.
So it's a pretty good speed. And so you're going and eventually you stop feeling the speed. And it just kind of feels like you're not moving.
Yep.
And you're sitting there, you're like tapping your foot, like, all right, we'll be there any second. And then you keep tapping your foot, we'll be there any second. And then you keep tapping your foot any second. And you just keep tapping your foot. And eventually you're just like, oh God, oh God. And then you get to the top and it just the elevator opens up. And all you can see is glass and just the sky. And you're just like, oh, and then you start feeling the building. You can feel the building.
It sways, yeah.
Oh, dude.
So
it's worse than an earthquake, dude. I've never felt an earthquake shake as much as I felt that building shake.
So this is interesting because I haven't been to the Empire State Building, but I have been to the Willis Tower, it used to be known as the Sears Tower in Chicago, and that one has 110 stories. Apparently, that's what it says here. Now that is the one that I went to, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it has more stories?
It's 110 stories.
But I thought the Empire State Building was the tallest.
In New York.
That's just New York.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say maybe the floors are bigger, even if there's less or something. I don't know. But
no, it says Empire State Building. Wow. There's a website called Size Explorer.
But I also went on another what is it? The Washington Monument?
Uh-huh.
That's the small white one, right? It's in DC?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went on that one. That one's interesting.
I thought it was just a statue of something, like just concrete.
No, you can go in it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you can go to the top and there's a viewing thing, and that one's not scary to go in. That one's really cool because what happens, they don't tell you this. You're in.
So really quick. So this one is the well, I don't know if you guys are interested. You can just type in Empire State Building and Willis Tower comparison, and you can see the difference. So the one on the left is the Empire State Building, and this one and the one on the right, the Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, is the one in Chicago. Okay. So there's a big difference in there, you know?
Yeah.
That I know what you're talking about. I did the exact same thing. I don't know if I've ever been afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling down. That's
yeah. That's what you're scared of.
And so I do remember that the building would sway, and then you would hear like a hum. I don't know if you heard that.
I didn't hear a hum, but there was a lot of wind.
Yeah,
for sure. And
then imagine Chicago's known for it's the windy city, so not just the being up there on the flight there, the turbulence on the plane was insane. For a minute there, like the lights would flicker, and then you would feel the airplane, sway side to side, and then you feel your anus start tightening up a little bit. Now that was an experience.
Dude, I came back from Kentucky in a plane once, and we were landing in John Wayne Airport during Santa Ana winds. They're like, the landing's gonna be real bumpy, but don't worry, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be super bumpy. We land, we go. The guy like hits the ground super hard, so we like bounce off the ground, and then the plane gets like knocked, and I could see the wing like almost like turn sideways. I was like, we're dead. And he just was like, boom. All right, guys, we're going to be in aisle 10 today. Go pick up your bags here. I'm like, we almost died, and you're just telling me where to pick up my bags.
Dude, I wonder how old pilots live up to. It must be such a stressful. I know it's not it's a stressful job. I understand that the nowadays technology allows a pilot to be a little bit more hands off, but the responsibility of taking people thousands of feet up into the air and transporting them across countries. That imagine that, dude.
I don't know.
We complain because we did Uber. Oh, dude, I had the worst experience with Uber. I don't get paid enough, and these people are assholes.
Yeah,
and these guys are literally, flying a metal giant dick into the sky.
Yeah, but imagine this though. Imagine in an Uber, if you had a room where no one could talk to you, no one could come up, you never had to open it, and you're just going from here to there. That's different. Plus, I don't think they're scared in the sense there's more accidents in cars than there are in planes. Sure, there's less planes, but like altogether, you have a higher chance of getting hurt in a car than in a plane. So I feel like they get so used to it that it's kind of just like driving a car. Like, we're not scared to go and drive a car. When something happens, we have to react. But that's the same as hitting the gas pedal or brake.
Imagine, and this kind of sucks, dude, kind of remembering this, but imagine being in the air when 9/11 happened. And then you getting calls from your tower saying, hey, you need to land your ass right now.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine those types of situations. I know they're rare, but they've happened like worldwide. I mean, wasn't there like a few planes that just disappeared into the ocean like 4 years ago?
There were a bunch of planes that just disappeared.
Period. Yeah.
They didn't find them; they just disappeared.
Yeah, but I mean, if you would have seen them if they landed in like in a country or like on the ground. The smoke.
Oh, you mean like if they crashed?
Yeah.
My theory would be more or less someone took the plane and just killed the people and essentially chopped up the plane or is using the plane in some other way. Just like if someone steals a car and they go to a chop shop.
I mean, come on. How would you... I don't know, dude. I think that you would have to deactivate the plane.
Yeah. You'd have to do that to have this plane just disappear. I don't know enough about it, so I'm just throwing out some theory there.
Or the Bermuda Triangle, how things just like disappear, boats, planes, just gone.
They have a reasoning as to why, not as to why things disappear, but as to why like radars and stuff don't work. They know why things don't work there, and because of that, other issues have arrived.
Huh.
But
it's just strange. But anyway, so back to reality. We're here. We're alive. We're well. What have your thoughts been? Following the restlessness, like you mentioned earlier, of you were getting up in the middle of the night. Was it you just couldn't sleep? Like you needed to know who would win? Or were you legitimately scared or afraid that something was going to happen and you were going to have to wake up, put on your shoes, and take your kid to safety?
No, I didn't. I wasn't like that. I just want to know who was going to win or what was going to happen or what was happening.
See, I ask you that because not just you, but there were a lot of people. I was like on Reddit. I was on a few other places that, you follow these conversations of, oh, all hell's going to break loose. And for a minute there, I wasn't convinced, but I was convinced that the people who were saying that were convinced that it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but see, I think a lot of that thing is you can say something bad will happen one way or the other. Joe Biden gets elected, something bad can happen. If Trump, something bad can happen. But it's when those bad things will happen. So I don't think anything bad would happen right away if Joe Biden won. I think something bad would happen right away with Trump, but it would be resolved slightly quicker. I think the reason people would be scared of Joe Biden is because of him increasing taxes, trying to take away guns, doing socialist concepts. And for Trump, people think that he's killing minorities, promoting police brutality. People just don't like him because they don't like him. So that would, on Trump's side, it would be more of riots, like you see in almost every single election. For Biden, I think there would be protests and, well, I don't know if there would be riots though for Joe Biden, but I think what would happen is there would be more conflict later on if he tried to enact the things he said he would.
Perhaps.
So I think there's conflict either way. I just think there's conflict in different ways.
And honestly, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people will campaign with promises, like campaign promise, and really never do it, right? So, on that sense, I don't think I'm not even like. I know what they're doing. They're appealing to their base. That's what they're doing.
Well, one of the other things too with the issue though is that the president can't just do things. So he's got to he has the idea, and then he's got to get it through other people.
Right.
So the whole point is they're trying to get on both sides. You're trying to get the president, and the House aligned, and then you can kind of do what you want. So if Trump wins now, they kind of have everything in line to get more done, or promises that have been said could be done. If Joe Biden wins, they conflict each other, and less could get done. So Joe Biden would technically not be able to do as many of his promises as he was said.
Right, he will be getting checked.
Yeah. Just like right now, Trump is getting checked, so he can't do as much either.
But the fear that I saw amongst my colleagues, I don't know. I guess it was a little disheartening. Like, how did we get to this place? How come violence is being hyped up? How come no one is? I don't know. It's just like the more I see the political environment. Okay, so before we used to have different types of, we still have them, but some are more prominent than the other. We have the political aspect of life.
Mm-hmm.
We have personal life. We have hobbies. We have platforms. We have different things where people gather around and with conversation or they clash. And so I'm seeing that the more we are involved with the media and social media, in a sense, the more it's increasingly become more about politics over everything else. Like, when was the last time that you saw a meme go viral? Like, there are political memes, sure, and I understand that the meme. That's the game of it. It follows trends and it makes something funny and then everybody jumps on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very few in many. Like, the last one that I saw was the dog face guy who was skateboarding and drinking the ocean spray cranberry juice.
Yeah, I didn't understand that thing.
So, but besides that, what else has happened? Not like I haven't seen anything like what we used to see back in like 2015, 2016. And I don't know. It's just people are so involved with politics now.
Yeah, well, that's like what I said when we were doing the podcast the other day. Is this year I haven't heard anything about Starbucks. Starbucks used to be the big hot topic during the holiday season.
Pumpkin spice lattes.
It's just pumpkin spice latte, and then you're worried that their cup wasn't Halloween enough, and that Christmas came and they only did a red cup and a blue cup. They couldn't do anything Christmas-like, you don't.
Well, isn't it interesting how us as people get swayed into different things? I'm not going to sit here and say people are pulling strings behind. It's the shadow government. trying to start a civil war. Like, I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to get into that. But I have seen that there are things that are happening that are causing us to lose conversation between even friends. I don't think that I never really do this, but I don't think that I would feel comfortable talking about politics with friends. Like with you, it's a different story because we tend to talk about many different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And okay, let's say that I'm able to talk about politics within our close group of friends, but outside of that, if it's like an acquaintance that I really like, I wouldn't dream about talking about politics. I wouldn't touch it. It's not worth it. It's like if we have opposing views, I'm gonna risk this person leaving, or and yeah, I just see a lot of divide now.
Yeah, but
Kind of. I mean,
that's the thing though, is that's what life is. This is the same reason why you have a relationship one day and then you don't have a relationship, because you have differing views, and what you do, the other person's not going to want to do. And so it's just normal life.
I get that, but when it becomes about an idea, well, okay, that's why I have such a small group of friends, because for one, I feel like most of our morals and most of our I wouldn't even say ideas we don't have like a lot of common ideas, but we make the effort to try to understand each other, right? Like you and I were always like earlier we were talking about audio,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, no, I don't get it, and you're like, no, but if you do this and so like we're not going to stop talking because we couldn't figure out the audio, right? It was, we had a difference of opinion. I said, okay, let's figure it out. You said this is what we have to do. We have to both give and take, and that's that. But now if you just add politics into that, or use politics as an example, people are not willing to give and take. Where it's like, what I don't know if it's, I want to blame it on social media. Social media narrows people's views into, it's like hyper focused. And again, we go back to the same thing. It's like from the last podcast and the podcast before then, where I'm starting to talk a lot about social media and the effects of it. It's what I'm starting to notice is that it really points you into a specific direction that may align with your current view, but it may not necessarily be true.
Mm-hmm.
You may not always believe that view, and then it's gonna shift. That laser focus is gonna shift to another thing. If like okay, a lot of us are engaged in politics. I get it. But if you do this social experiment with your own life, okay, so you're on whatever party you identify with, the more you click on those things, the more it's going to feed you that. But let's say that you throw a wrench in that system. Let's say that you go and search up cat videos, and then it's going to shift your attention into just cat videos. Yeah, they may sprinkle in some of the politics in there to get you to engage back and forth. But I guarantee you that if you just go on YouTube and you type in cute animals or funny animals, that's all you're going to see.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so my point is that right now we're being hyper focused into things that may or may not be good for us. And I personally have taken it upon myself to be more conscious about those types of choices. Like, what am I going to search up right now? Like, am I going to go and be all caught up with the election? Is it worth for me to be checking back and forth? And I'm going to admit, okay, I did do that. But this is why I'm talking about it. It's because I did do that, and then I saw how it was affecting me. I saw that it was affecting me in a way that I didn't like. I'm like, wait, why am I being so affected by a choice that I don't even have control over? The polls are, they're not being counted right. The votes are not being counted right. What am I going to go do? Go over there and make sure that they get counted right? I can't. Right?
But see, that's one of the other things, though, is that if you don't voice your opinion when you have the time to voice your opinion, then you won't change anything. And how do you have opinion on something if you don't keep up with it?
Well,
if you don't have the knowledge of it, then how do you do it? How do you not know who you would vote for is the right person? How do you know you're not the one just seeing an article here and be like, okay, I'm voting for this person? What if you voted for the wrong person? Just because of the few things you did see. Like,
I feel like things are going to correct themselves.
Only when people take action.
Right, but there's so many people that are involved that it doesn't, for me personally, I don't think they would make a difference if I went out and got on a megaphone and started shouting at people. Right? That makes no difference. I'm not going to make a difference. Like, you want to make a difference, you should have been the one person, getting hired to do the polls, to do not the polls, or do the counting. You should be running for office. You should be the one doing this. You should be doing things like that. I'm just saying, for me, I noticed that the longer I spent on social media searching up the election polls, variables like how it's being counted, what's counting, what's not counting, who's gonna win, who's not gonna win, the more I felt shitty. I just felt shit. I didn't feel good. It didn't make me feel good about it. I'm like, oh, look, this is making me feel great. I went on YouTube and went through a rabbit hole, and now I feel wonderful. No, because the results are still not even in. And so it's like, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of voicing my opinion on how I perceive the divide. I'm telling you, people, close people to me, like colleagues that I personally know and work with almost every day, were afraid that something bad was going to happen. And I'm literally talking to them and calming them down. Like, hey, look, first of all, we live in Orange County. Okay. If there are going to be, riots and all hell is going to break loose, it's going to be around us. Maybe you can expect that in LA, Long Beach. You can expect that and I know, I guess I'm being selfish in a sense, because I'm like, oh, we're going to be fine and screw everybody else. But I made the choice to live over here. I could be living somewhere in Atlanta, in Detroit, where it's, the homes are valued next to nothing. I could have chosen to go over there and live over there, but I didn't. And people are going to say, well, a lot of people don't have the choice that you have, that you have. But as long as I'm grateful for that freedom and that and the ability that I've been able to stay here and afford Orange County, because it's not a cheap place. Mm-hmm. Orange County is really expensive, and it's only going to go up from here. So I have to be very conscious about what I do in order to stay here, to stay here in this bubble, man, because we're in a bubble. But that's not the point. The point is, for me, I really saw that people thought we were going to have a civil war today. I never saw it that way. I just always thought, you know what? I think more people than not have common sense and logic and are willing to, talk to their neighbor than not. I think there's only a few people that are not willing to talk to their neighbors. And we, as people, probably don't really talk to them anyway.
Oh, yeah? I don't talk to my neighbors. Actually, no, I talk to all my neighbors.
No,
actually.
I mean like that person who does look at life like it with those lenses.
Mm-hmm.
The person who, for whatever reason, it's road rage. The person beeping at you when the light first turns green. Those are the people we all try to avoid. The majority of us are not like that. It's my point.
Oh, I don't know. There are places that are really like that. I would say that's how LA is. But I want to go back to something you said about social media, how we're all honed in on something. But think about this. There's a few different social media platforms. And within social media, you can get sucked into anything. You can get sucked into fitness. You can get sucked into hot girls. You can get sucked into cars. You can get sucked into politics. There are so many subjects out there. But think about this. Before social media, what was the social media? Newspaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole lot less newspaper companies and a whole lot less subjects and a whole lot less opinions.
Yes.
So do you think that we have more information now?
100%.
So there are more opinions now than there were before. So is more opinions causing everyone to not be able to have similar opinions? Where before it was kind of black and white. You either agreed or disagreed with what the few things being said are. Now there's way too many things being said and you have to agree and disagree with every little thing. Like I was listening to Joe.
That's actually a really good point.
Joe Rogan had a guest on. As a guy who does, I think it's called Meat.
Oh, Meat Eater.
Meat Eater. I love that show.
Well, I think his name is Steve Rinella.
Yeah. And he had him on. He was talking to him about critics. And Joe Rogan said, if 1% of my critics, or 1% of my audience is critics, I have 1 million critics. That's ridiculous. They have 1 million people who don't like you and voice their opinion on you every single day.
Wow, that's powerful.
He has more critics than we have people we've probably seen our YouTube channel.
Have ever met million people.
Like that, life wasn't ready. Like you're not ready for that because now you're getting too many opinions.
Exactly. So what's the answer to this? How do we stop this social divide? I think that the antidote is conversation. These conversations that we're having, I think we talk more on the podcast than out in our regular lives.
Yeah.
Like we literally dedicate 1 to 3 hours about our ideas. We go back and forth and we talk about this. I wonder if this is something that okay, quote me on this, okay? Back in the day when we were kids, before telephones, before whatever communication device we had telephone. We used to attach a thread at the end of a cup and we would talk. Do you think that that's a good idea to just, I don't know, okay, for instance, do you think people should just not have a podcast but be like have a platform where everybody can just sink in all their ideas, like Reddit, just spoken word? Or do you think there'd be a lot of trolls? And I mean,
there will always be trolls on the internet.
But you can manage them, right? You can say
you can't.
You cannot manage trolls.
No. If you see me in my online community, I am considered the troll of trolls. I am the most ridiculous, and I say the most ridiculous things.
And I think that should be fine. Okay, so hear me out. It would be like a Reddit. Okay, It would be like, obviously there's things that people have, hobbies, they're interested in certain things. So you would have like a community there who it would just be audio on all day. You can jump on whenever you like. You can sign on, jump on into the conversation, or get matched up to somebody who is maybe of the opposing team. If it's politics, and then you can have something like you can discuss your ideas, and you can have moderators. If it's not civil, you're kicked out maybe for like a day. They I don't know what you call it. You call it reporting or something. Reported.
You report people.
And so I think maybe this is a good idea. Maybe this is something that we should explore.
Well,
Greg.
let's put it this way. So there's something similar to that. Like Omegle. You go on there and just chat with someone. And what happened to that? Just became a bunch of dicks on a webcam.
That's video. You cannot control it.
But that was actually interesting because when we first started the podcast, what did we do? We were like, we need to learn how to be able to just talk in the microphone and have a conversation going. So we actually went on there. And sure, maybe every time we switched people, every 3 was just a dick on the screen. But when we got to someone, we talked to a girl in Mexico, right?
I don't even recall the conversation, but I'm sure we did, yeah.
And she was talking to us about she was in school and stuff like that. And then we talked to this other guy for like an hour, and his son was doing YouTube stuff, the mountain biking channel.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
And then we talked to another guy who I think was in another Latin American country. And we talked to him for like 30 minutes. And like you can have good conversations, but the issue is there's so much bad out there that people just suck that in and put it in.
Yeah, I mean, it would be just audio. Yeah. Audio. And with maybe a few, video. Like the people that have check marks can do video. Why don't we explore that? So, hey, Google, this is my idea. Fuck off.
Well, imagine this. Imagine there was some kind of like Google had that like Google Assistant thing where you could like actually chat with like someone for help, and they would actually be like a real person on webcam. They did that for a little bit. I don't know if they still do it. I think it was like a service you had to buy.
Now it's virtual. Like now it's a Google Assistant, but it's an actual like AI.
But what if it was something like that where it was it was like a compliment app almost, where it's like you pay whatever the fee is, like a 50-cent fee, and someone comes up on the screen, your webcam's open, and they just compliment you. Like say, oh, I like the glasses you're wearing today. The makeup you did today was really good. I love the choice in the white shirt and black hat. It works well.
What would be the point of that?
To just spread good cheer. Like we get Christmas and Santa Claus. And spoiler alert, some people only get happiness thinking that Santa Claus is coming to give them presents. Like outside of that, what? We got the Easter Bunny. And if you think about it, some people don't believe any of that stuff. Like, where are you getting happiness through the rest of your life? You rely on the relationships you have. But then, like me, I'm a very private person. If I really think about it, I have 3 close people that I talk to. 3, that's it. If I didn't have those 3 people, I would not leave my house.
Wow. So for sure, I'm one of them.
So where do you go from there? Like I have other acquaintances. Like if I come and hang out with you, there's at least 7 other people who I end up talking to. Robert, Gilbert. But like outside of going because I'm going to hang out with you, I don't hang out with any of those other people. I don't consistently talk to them. Like it's to break people in, I guess. Bring people into the fold.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good idea, but what if you have somebody who starts believing all the things that the virtual assistant's telling them? Like, hey, oh, you look great today, but in fact, maybe they don't look that great. And instead, they go through life for years and years and years, building up this ego, and then they get shut down one day.
They probably will get shut down, but that's not the
Well,
point.
I'm not saying like attractiveness. I'm
It's just
saying,
like Little John is super ugly.
Lil Jon.
Little John is
How
super
dare
ugly.
you? How dare you?
He's so ugly.
What?
yeah. But that's my point. Like you can be complimented, and not everyone will agree with the compliment.
Yeah.
It's like that's the whole thing. Is you can be really bad at, like, I'll put it in this perspective. Like, I don't like Miley Cyrus, and I didn't like the majority of things she did. But she did write one, or she didn't write the song, but she sang a really good song, the Jolene. She sang that song in like a backyard somewhere. I'll show you it after this. And she sang it and it sounded great. And then the same thing, like, I didn't like Justin Bieber, but there was one song he did that was really good. It's like, no, it definitely wasn't that one.
Whoa, I forget what it's called.
But there's things like that where it's like, not everything someone does has to be good.
I get it.
And that's where we run into the issue, is that we rely on everything to be good.
I think that we need to wake up and accept that life is not perfect. When you look at Instagram, it's everyone's sharing their best moments in life, including the video that we posted today. Hey, nobody saw, how we get ready for all this. It's a process, and so
it's a thought process.
So social media does it. It's like, oh, what are you thinking today? Or what what status do you want to share with people? What picture? And then you pose. It's like, I don't know. It's just so disingenuous.
Yeah.
It's so, I don't know. I know I talk a lot of shit on it, but it's also good because there are many different things that you can do. You can sell your sofa. You can find a sofa. You can find a group of, for do-it-yourself projects, or you can find a group for anything, right? So there are really good things on it. I'm just, I was kind of just making an example of the politics. When it comes to politics, it's going to be a no for me. Like, I just don't even want to be involved in discussions with people who are just shouting in your ear on both sides or on all the sides. It's like, if you want to talk to me, have a civil conversation with me, and then we can, present your points, and I'll present my points, and if we come to an agreement, great. If we don't, okay, it's fine. But yeah, at least we had this conversation, and now we understand something more than what we came here with.
Yeah.
I think that's the point that I'm trying to get across. So, I don't know. People thought this was going to be the end of the world, and look at us.
Who knows? But I mean, when you have certain leaders, things are going to happen.
I think
it's cause and reaction, really.
Things are always going to happen. Like, nobody knew about this COVID thing. There are people saying, "Oh, we saw it coming from a mile away. Oh, we were sounding the alarms." But why didn't that go viral? Why was your, for your notice do any good? How come people forgot? Was it the way you communicated it? Was it not, was the communication cut off with media? Like, what happened?
No, I just think everything was tossed up. Like,
or people were so involved in their own rabbit holes that they forgot about reality.
Well, it's kind of like this. They had difference in opinions, and there's always what you would consider like an acceptable loss in any circumstance. Let's just get away from human life and go into business. It's like there's rules out there where, like, you're not allowed to do something. If you do it, you're gonna get fined. Like, like here, I'll put in this example. You got riding in the carpool lane. You get a $500 ticket for riding in the carpool lane. Let's say there's this very successful businessman, sorry, who's driving to a meeting who will make $3 million if he just has this meeting. Is it worth him driving the carpool lane and getting the $500 ticket to get that $3 million, or him sitting in traffic and not getting to the meeting and not making $3 million? He's going to break the rule because he's going to go make more money.
Right.
And I think the society's gotten into that kind of mentality. Like, we're not looking at what's the right thing to do. We're looking at what's the best thing to do for the circumstance.
Well, that's a very deep moral question. What is the right thing to do if it's all based upon the popular vote or the popular opinion?
Yeah.
What is the right thing? How do we arrive to the right thing? If this is the thing about what you're saying. If we have this way of thinking of, oh, this is the right thing, but nobody ever challenges that, isn't there something wrong with that?
You can challenge things. That's fine.
It's like maybe the idea is not. It's not presented in its best in its best self. Maybe the idea or the better option would be, okay, why is there so much traffic? We're losing tons of money. If everybody, what if it's not just that guy who's got that $3 million job offer or business deal? What if there's 100,000 people stuck in traffic with the same goal, but only one challenged it? It's so it's like, okay, we have to go take a step back and say, okay, traffic is bullshit. We have to figure out how we can move people from A to B in a better and more efficient way. And then now we're talking. Now we're, okay, now we're, the law will change. Oh, well, we have flying cars. I don't know. We have tunnels underneath, Shout out to the Boring Company.
Time incentives.
Time incentives, too.
Pay your employees less the earlier they get out of work.
Yeah.
Because there's already things like that. Like there's incentives on things to get you to buy and incentives to get you to not buy. Like in Canada, for example, they don't want people to own guns. So what they do is they hike up the price of guns. They don't tell you can't get it. They just make them so expensive that you don't want to buy them. Or you would buy a whole lot less than you would have originally. And then there's other things like right now, a lot of people don't have jobs or just aren't making as much money. So the banks are pretty much making no interest or very low interest rates.
Honestly, though, the banks, their interest levels have not. I don't think that only a few areas have they gone down, or even okay. If you have a loan with the bank, like COVID doesn't matter. Like you still are accruing interest. Like, yes, we'll defer your payments until whenever you have a chance to pay.
Yep.
But under the condition that the interest will continue to accrue at the normal rate or at the rate you got, no matter what. So there's no leeway with banks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good start. It's a good start of, thinking about what's the right thing to do as opposed to what's the best thing to do, right? That's a good start. That's where we begin. But then we need to work the problem backwards and see what is the actual issue. Is it the fact that, oh, these people they're stuck in traffic, but why are they stuck in traffic? So and this is what happens with conversation, right? Mm-hmm. You bring an idea and then you kind of pass it back and forth. You have to shape the idea, kind of hammer it until it won't break anymore. And we say, okay, this is a solid idea. This is what we should work on. What do you people think? And then everybody will come together and then, oh, you forgot about this edge, and then they'll start chipping away at that idea, and then eventually you have a product, or you have like a moral standard
Mm-hmm.
that everybody agrees upon. You know, so I think that's where we start. That we start with conversation. It's going to start with conversation, and it's going to end with conversation. Even wars were started with a conversation, and it ended with a conversation.
War started because of women, hands down, hands down.
Well, I don't know.
Think about it. Why do people fight?
Okay, territory,
Family,
resources, family,
family. That's
but
it.
resources too. I mean,
That's less important.
no.
That's less important.
No, because we're community based. We're tribal people. We're always, yes, there are lone wolves out there, but even them long for companionship. So it's like it's like it's in our genes, it's in our DNA to be around people. Our genetic makeup is just like that. Like we're like herding animals. Like even animals have herds, and ants have, whole ecosystems for them, or ecosystems too.
Mm-hmm.
Fungus, everything's about communion. And that's how you grow as a species, right? So shit, dude, I went way microscopically down into this rabbit hole. Okay, let me bring it back up. So if it's about communion, it's about what's better for my neighbor, because if he dies, then I'm next. But if I help him build a fence so that the lion doesn't get to him, we're both going to survive. Because
Mm-hmm.
now we have numbers. So, I'm thinking, because we have community, it would be better for myself if the people who are around me, my tribe, will survive. What do we need more? If we already have, maybe 5 mating partners in between, 20 people, 10 people, whatever. Do we need more water, food, resources like weapons? Or do we need the women more?
Let's see. Okay.
I'm not, and that's really sexist. I just.
Well, that's what I'm saying is it's a secondary thing. Food and drink you have to have regardless of anything.
So I mean, I get what you're saying about women but I wouldn't say that they are the cause of wars. I know they are important. They're important to me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my companion, my partner. I understand that. But when we talk about countries going to war, it's not because of women anymore. It's about
Sure,
resources.
Not anymore, sure. But okay, so we were just talking about helping our neighbor out, right? You build a fence and now we'll be better protected, right? So going back to the guy from Meat Eater, he had a kind of like a documentary where he went out and he talked to a bunch of different hunters. And then he started talking about this guy who I forget his name, but his whole thing was they would go out and they would hunt. And it was some kind of deer. I don't remember exactly what the type of deer was.
Whitetail?
But they would go out and they would hunt. And he started noticing, like, why am I never finding a bigger deer? Like, when someone finds a bigger deer than someone else, it's like very minutely bigger. Like, almost not even noticeably bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So he started saying, maybe I don't hunt. Like, I'll find the biggest deer and I won't kill it. Because now I know that deer will live till next year. And that deer has a whole year to eat. And then he'll be bigger. And then he came back, and he was like, wait, if I don't kill this deer this time, he'll be even bigger next year. And that whole cycle, he kind of started a thing with hunting where it was certain size deer were not huntable.
Right. It was until they
let
were
them
mature.
grow.
Yeah.
The bigger they get, the more yield you're going to get out of it.
Right.
And so over time, it allowed people to get bigger and bigger catches, essentially.
Yes. Instead of, seeing the younger bucks and killing them off right there, everybody kind of agreed that, hey, the way we're hunting them now is it's not maximizing our gain. We need to take a step back and let them grow for a couple more years, and then we can get them. And then everybody will eat the same.
But see, that's my point, though, is that is almost a sense of manipulation. You have them dead to rights, but you're like, I'll let them do their thing, and I'll take it next time.
What do you mean manipulation?
Like, let's just say United States goes to some small country that we don't even know the name of, and we're like, yeah, well, let's just take all their oil. But then someone's like, no, let's not take their oil. How about we go over and we make peace?
How about we go over there and we plant a seed?
Yeah, they start a war with us, so
It's
now
happened.
we're defending ourselves.
It's happened.
And now we just take it all, and we'll get more.
Yes.
And everyone will back us.
Of course, it has happened.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like,
so that's
kind of how
playing
life
chess.
is.
That's playing chess. Other people are playing checkers. That's playing like 4D chess.
But some people are more disgusting than others.
That is inevitable.
Yeah.
That's always going to be there. That is just human nature. We are good. We are bad. We are clean. We are disgusting. We are everything at once. And in fact, that's something that I noticed about this election. I saw it everywhere. Democracy is messy. But that's the beauty of it, is that, when push comes to shove, it's the ideas are bouncing back and forth. The voices are getting louder, but it's good if it was in person, because I feel like people would be less agitated in person. You're more often than not going to find someone who's willing to talk and have a conversation. When it's online, it's like all I see is links to why this person sucks, and then, oh, look, fraud, or this person did this person did that, but there's no like engagement. It's everyone's just shoving their ideas in however they fit, and it's like it's a puzzle we'll never figure out. It's a puzzle we'll never figure out.
A lot of it's become money. Like half the time when I go to try to like read an article, I'll click it and I go to it, and it has the picture and the title, and then it's all advertisements and there's no article. I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean,
so that's
so it's like that's where you have the choice to be like, okay, I need to get my information from a more reputable source, right? You have to be conscious about that. It's like, dude, life is really complex, and I guess that's the beauty of it. It's very complex. It's all over the place, and I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just think that we just have to have more conversation. More ideas need to be passed back and forth. And hopefully that will mitigate some of the effects. Because I think, honestly, dude, I think that if whoever wins, I don't even think it matters who wins, right? I think that some people are going to go over the edge. Some people are going to you're just gonna go over the edge, whatever that means. Whether that means like that person is gonna lose all sense of reality. Like that person is no longer going to be able to talk to another human being for the rest of their life because of this election. Because their ideas so ingrained into their mind that they're not going to risk letting it go anymore. Like, I feel like that's going to happen. And I think that it's only going to be worse if we don't seriously stop what we're doing. And you know, it's like, I do
think, though, that there are plenty of things that you can't be silent about. Like, the whole reason why we had a civil war for slavery.
Right.
It's obvious. You can't just stay quiet about something like that.
Agreed.
So action has to be taken, and that's why civil war happened. It's the same reason why a lot of people are kind of feeling that way right now. But we've talked about that. Like, I don't feel like there's a big enough reason to go to a civil war outside of, say, abortion or like taking people's guns away.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only two things I could see why a civil war could happen. But I just don't see either of those happening instantly.
Yeah.
That's what I
like
said,
you said, it's going to take some time.
It would build up down the road. It won't happen when we find out who the next president is.
Right.
It may happen in 2 years from when we find it out, kind of concept.
Yeah.
A year, whatever.
I forgot who it was, but have you ever watched Bruno?
Yeah.
I just watched it last night. Oh my God. There's this clip, or there's this point in time in the movie where he goes to somewhere in the Middle East,
okay,
to get two of their leaders to make peace. And he does it in a very ridiculous way. He starts like singing and oh, you know, peace, and then you and I, and then you and I and him, and whatever it was.
Oh, he tried to turn it like gay almost.
Yeah. And then at one point, he's having them touch their hands, like kind of just really slowly touch their hands. And I was telling my wife, I was like, do you realize that if it wasn't for this actor who's pretending to be a Nazi gay man, these two people would have never come and offered their hand to each other?
It's not real.
What do you mean it's not real?
Not real. None of that stuff's real. The reactions are real because they didn't know what was going to go on, but the situation's not real.
I'm not saying, well, what do you mean? So those two people were actors?
I don't know if they were necessarily actors. They may be what you said, but they knew they were going to be in the room and they knew they were going to be doing something. They just didn't know what it was. So it's like misunderstanding, essentially.
But the point is that they touched hands. Had they not said, okay, I'm willing to be in this movie and I'm going to offer my point of view against his point of view, and then this guy comes in unsuspectingly and grabs her hands and makes them touch their hands, that would have never happened. Yeah. That's my point, is that if it wasn't for this dude, aka Bruno, that would have never happened. And I think that's what we need nowadays. I think we need people to unite. Well, not even unite people. We need people to be the conductors. Well, we need more conductors.
It's like what they say. God says is don't lean on your own understanding. I know it's directed to more or less to God knows everything, so lean on to His opinion. But that still applies to everyone else. Don't only listen to your own understanding, because others have a more understanding of different things. Like, I have more understanding about video games than you do. You have more understanding about renting out apartments than I do. Like, I feel like someone else would lean more on me to talk about video games. Someone would lean against you for knowing if this is a good place to rent.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the whole thing. Is we're not leaning on other people's experience.
We're not walking in each other's shoes, and I think it's time that we do. You know, and especially in these post-apocalyptic times, you know, look, my city's on fire, and I'm saying that in a mockingly way, but I hope nothing happens around here.
Our county was on fire not too long ago. Actually, I don't know. Is it still on fire? That kind of blew over. I don't. You know what I mean? The election, and it was just like the fires don't exist anymore.
It was like what were they saying? Oh, COVID's not real in peaceful protesting or something. I was like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean it's not real?
Yeah. Well, everyone's trying to justify their opinions and removing other things.
But don't say baloney. Don't say things are not real. It's like, it is what's that saying? Or like you said, was it still on fire? If it's not on fire because I don't know about it.
Yeah.
You know.
But see, that's the thing is you can say that you don't believe that something's an issue. So it's like I don't see COVID as a big of issue as is being portrayed. But that doesn't mean that I don't believe that COVID is just not an issue at all. It's just like cancer. Cancer is not an issue to me because I've never met anyone who's had cancer. Well, I have, but I didn't even know he had cancer without you telling me.
Mm-hmm. So
it doesn't affect certain people, so it's easy enough for them to say it's not as big of a problem.
To dismiss
it. If there are other bigger problems, then it's easy to just go on with your day because it's not something that will more than likely affect you. So it's like car crashes are an issue, but most people aren't doing anything about that. Only person who seems to be doing anything about that is Elon Musk.
Well, he did it for personal gain. The reason why he started the Boring Company was because he was sitting in traffic. So the story goes. He's sitting in traffic on the 405 or whatever, goes from Hawthorne to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, man, there must be a better way. Oh, underground. Why don't I just do underground tunnels? And that's how he got started.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was fed up with the traffic. That's one way to do it.
Well, the in Vegas, the tunnel he's making underground,
the Hyperloop.
He wanted to do it like a train concept,
mm-hmm.
but that changed, and now he's just using self-driving Tesla cars,
right?
Because he's like, why build a train when I got something that's the same thing as a train and I don't have to have a track,
right?
And just put this car and it'll drive itself over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, oh, well, I could do that. I could put that into cars. Now we have a better concept, and you could do it above what we already have everything built. I don't have to build anything.
Right.
Now I'm making more money than I thought I was going to. And it's the same thing with like rockets. It's so interesting. My roommate's like obsessed with Elon Musk. So I've actually learned a lot about the company that I never thought I would learn. And
really, like what?
Like Elon Musk went to, I think it was Russia, to buy a rocket. And his plan was to essentially crash the rocket into, I want to say it was the moon. It may have been Mars. He just wanted to crash the rocket to essentially spread seeds and just hope that things would grow. So you can see if it would work. And he's like, why would I crash the rocket? Why am I buying this rocket? Why don't I just build a rocket that I can land there, spread the seeds, bring it back and land it, and then I don't have to spend money again. And so that's where he started coming up with the whole trying to land it and
mm-hmm.
and all of that.
With the reusable and...
Yeah. So they're actually building these, I forget the name of them, but they're kind of like a tower so that you can weld. It blocks like the wind and elements so you can do the proper welds on the rockets. And so on it, I guess they're building like a sky bar. And I don't think it's just going to be like open to the public. I think it's going to be like a private club kind of concept. But they're just going to build a restaurant up there too. He's just coming up with ideas.
Damn. holla at us, man. We'll come over there and do a podcast from that SpaceX bar.
Elon Musk is so interesting. I really think because have you heard that he's doing I think it's called like Deer Moon, where he's inviting he is inviting people to be slingshot around the moon, and he's inviting he hasn't said who he's gonna put, but he wants to get artists and influencers so that when they come back, they can have firsthand count of space and of the moon and of the experience to be able to put out enough content for people to understand what's going on out there.
It'll ease the transition for what he calls multiplanetary travel.
So I have a big theory that he's going to bust a Willy Wonka on us, and he's going to do a golden ticket.
Look, man.
And he's going to throw it out there,
I'm telling you right now.
I'm going to be Augustus Gloop, dude.
I'm telling you right now.
Augustus Gloop.
I'm telling you right now. You have to send me. You have to send Greg and I. So we'll do a podcast. We'll go, through the whole process for people so that they can understand. And more importantly, we'll be very, very grateful.
But
I'll give you my life savings. Not much. I'll give you my life savings. But honestly, for me, if I get to the point that I want to get, I would definitely buy a ticket to go to space. I would definitely buy a ticket for me to go to space. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I don't know if I would buy a ticket to go into the deep ocean though. That's a different thing.
I don't know. I think the ocean and space have just as many possible issues. Like I was reading about one of the big issues of going to space is that your bones actually get brittle. They get weak. Mm-hmm. And so there's not really much you can do about that. There are ways to improve it. Like they said, there's like exercise bands.
Yeah, you have to exercise and you have to eat, exercise every day.
But there's no actual way around it. Like you're going, it's affecting you. Mm-hmm. Period. Like it's not like there's some way around it. Like you're gonna be
as soon as you start going, as soon as you enter or exit the atmosphere, mm-hmm. The zero gravity starts affecting you start adapting. Basically, because you're not using the same muscles, you're not using certain functions of your body, so you start adapting, and for sure you will lose mass.
So it's the same thing as going down into the ocean. I think they say that most like what they would consider like lifetime divers don't live that long. Like they have shorter lifespans than the majority of people.
Damn.
Because of how much
the toll that it takes upon your body. Mm-hmm. Greg, okay, this is I know we're going on into we're about to jump into the deep end here. The Greys, right? The aliens that we consider the Greys, Steve here. They have a big head, and they have a very lanky body, almost no muscle.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because they're in space all the time?
I mean, that could be one thing, but at the same time, if you think about it, like let's say that kind of alien is what aliens are. Let's just agree there's aliens out there, and the type we see, the Greys, are the actual aliens. Maybe they don't have bones. Maybe they don't need bones, and maybe that's why they can't come to Earth and we don't see them. Because if they come to Earth, they just become gloop. But in space, them not having bones is great. Damn.
Shit.
I actually thought about that. I thought about how many things that we could not discover because we cannot go there. Like what if the sun had some type of flame beings that were there, but we can't get there? The way we live, we can't possibly experience that without dying.
Yeah. Well, I would say that the sun is a far reach. I'm not saying it's...
Use that as an example.
I know. I'm not saying it's impossible, but in the example that you gave with the sun, we do have images of the sun, very close and very detailed images, if they are real and they're not being, photoshopped by Hollywood.
But I mean, if you take a picture of the world of Earth, you can't see people.
No, but if you take a picture at night, you see lighting. You see
Sure.
lights, and it's something that you don't see during the day.
But we see the sun shooting out solar flares or things like that. What if that's the same concept as our light? And they're so used to seeing light, and we're so used to seeing solar flares, but they mean different things because of the understanding.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think honestly,
but that's a pretty good theory about the Greys, though. If they don't have bones, they can't really come into Earth.
Yeah, that would make sense. Why they don't hang around here?
They'd have to have some kind of suit to keep their body together.
Why would they even have bones? Maybe they became obsolete.
I mean, if that's one of the main issues of going to space, then it would make sense that any natural space type.
What if it's just a consciousness? What if it doesn't even need to breathe? What if it's just a consciousness and we haven't been able to tap into the consciousness frequency? And they're just it's the ghost you fear about. It's the anomalies that we see.
The person you're running away from in the dark, so you shut the door before they can get in. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like you always feel someone's watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they're just a consciousness? Like, yeah, what if they're just consciousness? That would be another interesting theory. And the reason why we can't see them or perceive them is because we haven't tapped into that frequency yet.
That's what we think of when we say angels and demons, in a sense. Like, what if there are good aliens and bad aliens, and the bad ones is what we would consider demons, and the good ones are what we would consider angels?
I wonder if that's where the ideas came from. That would be really, really interesting. Anyway, don't hold your breath. We may not ever find them or see them or tap into that frequency. But I do know what we will be able to see and tap into the frequency is this conversation. Do your best to extend your hand to the opposition. I'm not saying you need to become friends with them. I'm saying you can, choose to say hello. You can choose to initiate a conversation between you and your, I don't know what you would call them. I don't want to say arch nemesis. And your neighbor, your friend who you stop talking to because of an idea that you're holding on to. I don't know. And then I also don't want to seem like I'm giving you guys a spiel. This is just what I'm thinking for myself. It's something that I'm just putting out there that I hope I do when I'm when I'm at crossroads with these conversations with these people. And I think this podcast was much better than I thought. I thought we were going to come in here and have a little bit to talk about, but in fact we had a lot to talk about following the election and then speculating about aliens. It's always a great time to talk to you, Greg. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find us everywhere, how they can get involved with the community. And
so this image up here, or poster, that new logo, actually Marco started a Spotify music station, right? What is it called?
Okay, so actually this is our artwork for all of our platforms. So it'll be the same on Apple Podcasts. It'll be the same on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify. This is just the design I came up with. I don't know. Why don't you guys tell us what you guys think? I personally like it a lot. It's kind of engaging. I like the colors in it. But that's something that's new. I think that the quality of the video for this podcast has improved. If you guys have any feedback on the podcast whatsoever, we welcome it. I don't care if it's, you know,
Don't give us a number one podcast. Don't give us that. Tell us what you think.
yeah,
We don't need to hear your flattery. We need to hear what we need to improve.
exactly. Because without your guys' feedback, we won't ever be able to make the changes that we need to change in order to get better and more interesting for you guys.
Don't get me wrong. Give us some compliments too. We need to feel good too. But yeah, check us out: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We post about 10 minutes before every podcast we put out. We go live on Thursday nights between 7 and 7:30. If we sit here and try to improve the podcast quality wise or any of that, we'll probably start closer to 7:30. We're gonna start posting clips as well on Instagram. We'll probably be able to throw them up on YouTube as well if we find funny clips or good segments that are very clear. We'll throw out there, and let us know of topics for rabbit holes and just topics in general you'd like us to talk about and get into.
Awesome, and I couldn't have said it better myself. So, to end the podcast today, I'm going to read another excerpt of Heart of the Buddha.
Okay.
This one goes like this. Overcome greed with generosity, anger with loving kindness, ignorance with understanding. And with that, we thank you again for joining us in today's podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
See you later, guys.